Hi, my name is Juliana Mitchell, and this is one of my mini prenatal yoga videos. I'm doing a series of videos of some yoga techniques that might help with some common pregnancy discomforts. It's very frequent that pregnant persons feel a tightness in their butt cheek or to the outer hip. Sometimes this goes up into the low back or reaches down the back of the leg. Frequently, pregnant people may speak of having sciatica or sciatic nerve pain, and some people are surprised to learn that sciatic nerve pain or sciatica is a symptom, not a diagnosis. And what I mean by that is, for example, a headache is a symptom, not a diagnosis. If you have a headache, maybe you haven't been drinking enough water. Maybe you hit your head on something. Maybe your jaw has been really tense. So there can be many different causes that create the experience or the symptom of a headache. Headache is a symptom, not a diagnosis. Similarly, sciatic nerve pain can come from several different sources. All of them come down, however, to pressure on the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve is actually a bunch of different spinal nerves that collect together. Sometimes you'll see a big, thick phone wire. You can see it's a bunch of different phone wires that gather together and are held together in a common black sheath. This is how I picture our sciatic nerve. There's nerve roots exiting the very low back, and then out part of the bone called the sacrum, which is in the back of the pelvis. And these roots gather together. Collectively, they're about as thick as my pointer finger, and they course down the center of the buttock, down the back of the thigh, down the back of the knee, and they split somewhere in the lower leg. Part of the root goes into the heel, and part of the root goes down into the outer shin, outer ankle. And if the cause of the sciatic nerve pain comes from the low back, from a herniation, uh, healthy posture goes a really long way. And in prenatal yoga, we're always working on healthy posture. If, however, the sciatic nerve pain comes from tightness in some of the muscles down the back of the buttock, down the back of the leg, and then as well into the outer shin, um, healthy, smart stretches can help with that. So, this is going to be some poses where we use a chair. It could be, depending on your coffee table, that you sit at the edge of a coffee table. Depending on an ottoman, you might sit at the edge of an ottoman. It would be better if, for this one, if the hips were at or maybe even a little higher than the knees. You might sit at the edge of a couch. You might sit at the edge of your bed. We're going to sit at the edge of something. Not only do we hope the hips will be at the height of the knees or maybe a little higher than the knees, um, I'll invite you to have something strap like. That could be a jump rope, it could be a belt, a tie. And some of you will use blocks or maybe books, and some of you will not. So let's get started. So you'll see my feet are flat on the floor. If you're seated up on something that is higher than the length of your shins and your feet don't sit flat on the floor, go ahead and put some books or something solid under your feet so you can have heels and toes on the floor. Similarly, if you're seated on something where your knees are up and your hips are down, pretend this foot is on the floor, then please put some height under your bum so that you come to be, so that feet are on the floor and your hips and knees are close to at the same height. A lot of sciatic nerve pain, low back, hip discomfort is aggravated by a combination of sitting on or behind the anus. So I'm going to invite you most of the time to try not to do that, to in fact sit closer to your genitals. And a lot of the pain that can be common in low back and across the buttock and outer hip, not just in pregnancy, comes from toes out, knees out. So, to the degree possible, practice right now a sense of sitting up over the back of the genitals and letting your toes and knees point forward. We'll open with a couple of cleansing breaths. Maybe your hands sit on your lap. Maybe you bring one hand to your abdomen and one hand to your heart. Eyes might fall closed. And very lightly just turn the attention to the breath. Just maybe one, maybe two more breaths here. And then open the eyes and surrender the hands. Rounding back, let your hands slide forward, let your hands reach forward. Hands could stay on the lap, or in fact, you could even interlace at the wrist and pull your knuckles forward. In coming into this shape, in a moment, I'll want you to look down to your throat rather than at me. But I'll say one thing. When you round back, instead of thinking collapse down, imagine bringing your mid back and your upper back and up, almost like it's a hood or a cloak that's going to come over the skull. Then hands back on thighs if you reach them forward. Tilt your tail, hands slide back, elbows slide back. And yes, it's an opening of the chest, but it's also a drop of pubic bone. And you want to really make sure that you're not stuck on high buttock, that you're rocking forward to low buttock or back of thigh buttock. Let's do those two shapes again. Rounding back, hands slide forward. Maybe you put opposite hand on top, mid back, upper back, reach up and over. Hands on thighs if they weren't already. Lift your tail, elbows back. And here's an interesting thing. If your knees, toes out, you won't be able to find that tail back as much as if almost your heels are a little wider than your toes. We're going to add breath. Exhaling, rounding back, breathing smoothly. Maybe hands reach forward. Inhale, arch the spine, elbows back, front of throat is long. Let's do that a couple more times. Exhale, round back. Move in your own rhythm. Inhale, arch forward. Twice more. Feel the body move. Spine is supple. Last time for now. And then sit tall. And if I'm sitting tall, I'm going to turn to the side here. Pick one of your legs out and put the center of the back of your heel on the ground. And if you have a lot of stiffness at the back of the leg, back of calf, back of ankle, low back, it'll probably kind of coax you in the direction of a rounded back body collapse. You might use your hands to draw the underbutt back. What I mean by the underbutt is under the butt, where the butt meets the thighs. And then taking your strap right below the toes, where you have knuckles that are in the feet. Heel stays on the ground, but heel energy slides away. And your heel energy is moving away from your butt bone, sometimes called your sits bone. And your sits bone moves back away from your butt bone. Instead of arms forward, which will probably round the upper back, if you have enough lead on your strap, draw your elbows in, chest is bright. You might stay quite upright, or you might tip forward, and your beautiful pregnancy belly may have opinions about how far forward you can go. And if you choose to come forward, don't leave your weight sitting on your anus and move from the rib cage. You might even need to bend your knee a little more to find that movement where in fact you are moving from and with the pelvis. The crown of your head, the top of your skull, and what I'll call your root or your root gate, the back of the crotch, the space between the genitals and the anus is in a long energy line. Let the hand that's on the pinky toe side draw back a little more than the thumb toe side. Mouth is relaxed. One more breath. And then allow yourself to sit upright. Pause and just switch. Kick the other leg out. And the other leg might feel interestingly different. Center of the back of the heel if possible. Notice your body might tilt towards outer heel, turning the toes and the knees out, turning toes up if you can. Wide underbutt. wide butt bones. And then from there, in your readiness, taking your strap and lassoing under the toes. Elbows back, front of chest is wide, sitting tall. You might remember that not long ago we were arching and rounding. And part of the reason we started there, a lot of reasons, but part of the reason we started there is so that you can find that light arch, that light lengthen up through the spine energy as you're here. Notice if your elbows out, fingers in, and can you open the front of your armpits, narrow the back of the armpits. And you might stay quite upright and you might tip forward. And notice if you're tipping forward, are you actually just collapsing the rib cage down, which we're not looking for here, to the degree that you can tip forward, long line of energy from your root gate through your crown. Breathing, no force. You might draw the pinky toe side of your foot back a little faster than the thumb toe side. Maybe one, maybe two more breaths here. And then let yourself sit upright, tall, and long. Take a moment and put your strap aside. Still sitting at the edge of your seat. Some of you might, with ease, not a contest, be able to cross your ankle over your outer thigh. Some of you might not be able to do that. And if that movement isn't available to you, you could stack up a structure, be it of blocks or of books, to your inner leg line. And it would only be as high as feels comfortable and available for your body. So some of you might be here, some of you might be higher. Notice I'm flexing my foot and I'm on the pinky toe side of my foot. So whether the foot is on stacked blocks or blankets or stacked other things you might have in your home or your outer thigh, once again, notice probably the tendency to hang out on the anus. Can you let your inner groin move back and wide? And you might just do tiny little arch round cat-cow movements here. You might stay quite upright, or you might tip forward, again, coming from the hips. You tip forward, you could have one hand on knee and one hand on ankle. Or if it's available to you, elbow and elbow. Feel free to move the head gently. Your outer thigh is pressing down, is rooting away. One more breath. Coming upright. Take a moment, put the leg down. You might want to pound out any tissues that are feeling like they'd like to have pounding out. And then let's do the other side. So how would you know if it's best not to put the ankle at the thigh, but instead should be on some support at the inner leg line? Well, you're going to listen to your body. You're going to listen to your knee. If one, this just isn't physically possible to bring the leg up, that's information, then don't. But if it hurts your knee to bring the leg further up, then also don't. Again, notice I'm on a crisp pinky toe side. I'm not collapsing into my outer ankle and making a small inner ankle. Foot is flexed, I'm on the pinky toe side, but maybe it comes here. Either way, there's an energy of outer thigh, outer knee pressing down, pushing down. This is my tighter hip, so I'm being pulled a little more into this collapse. I'm gonna let my inner groin shoot back. Again, you could sit up tall, steady. You could do some micro rockings. That might be really sweet. Or maybe in that same crown to root line I've been talking about, you tilt forward. A little bit might be a lot. I am already feeling strong sensation here. But if anybody wanted to come forward onto forearms, fingers could interlace or not. Neck is easy. Oh, maybe one more breath. Slowly allow yourself to come up. Put the leg down. You might just be still. You might have a sip of water. Maybe it would feel nice to use your fist to bring circulation and ease into these thick, powerful muscles that work so hard in the pregnancy body. We're going to do one last pose here using maybe blocks and using your strap. We've already kicked a leg out. This time we're going to try and bring the leg across a little bit. Instead of straight forward, we're going to bring it across. And depending on your unique proportions, your beautiful belly might not allow you to go very far over. If your beautiful belly is really not allowing you to go very far over, you can always try and sit up on a little more height. That might give you a little extra reach, but my heel is going to be on the ground. I know you can't see my heel right now, but your heel is going to be on the ground. Now your heel is going to be on the ground, yep, unless you end up putting your heel up on some height. And you would only put your heel up on some height if you can do so without collapsing back. So what might that look like? Well, for some of you, that might look like, I can feel with that height, I'm collapsing back. I'm not quite warmed up enough to be up on 2 blocks. So I'm going to try 1 block. All right, I can still feel there's some interesting efforting here, but I'm going to go with it. Your heel could be on the ground. It could be on a little bit of height. It could be on a little more height. And once again, we're going to strap. So I'm crossing my left leg over to the right, and now I'm just going to hold the strap with my right hand. I'm going to sit tall. I'm going to imagine I'm drawing the pinky toe blade of my left foot back. I'm going to help my left hip move a little back. I'm just ever so subtly going to turn my belly and my chest just a teeny bit to the left. Tiny pregnancy safe twist. My right hand is drawing the pinky toe side of the foot in. You might roll your shoulder back a little bit. And begin to let it go, winding out of it, releasing, bring the foot in. We're just going to do the other side. I might have a very different range of motion on the second side. It might be that my heel comes to the ground. It might be that my heel comes to a book or a block. This is my tighter hip, and already that's enough for me at this point in my practice. I can feel that I might really collapse down. So I'm not going to move my block to the medium height, but some of you might add more books if you're working with books, or more height. See what would work for you. When you're ready, go ahead and strap the foot. Don't forget that if needed, you could put extra height under your hips so that the leg can cross over. The extra height under the hips is to make space between your beautiful belly and your thigh. So the tightness in my hip, you might see, is turning my toes and my knees open. I'm not going to force it, but I'm going to invite a widening idea at the back of my buttock and a turning in of my toes and my knees. I'm trying to sit evenly on both hips. This is a good one for me to do every day. My left arm is strong. Its power is on the upper back. And I might from there just turn just a little bit to the right, neck easy, tiny. Your body will tell you how much turn feels safe, comfortable, and okay. Nipple line to the right. Your eyeballs might go to the right. One more breath. And then slowly wind your way out of your shape, taking the strap, put it aside, feet to the ground. Let's return to that arching and rounding as we did in the beginning of class. Round back. Maybe hands stay on the lap. Maybe they crisscross forward. Arching forward. Maybe hands stay on the lap. Maybe they go into the chair behind you. I'm going to come onto my knuckles, my fists, and rise the heart. Do that twice more. Round back. Arch forward. Maybe you root onto the hands. Last time for now. And then just sit tall. And if your spine is tired of supporting itself and you want to sit back towards the back of the chair, the back of a couch, if there is one such, you're welcome to, or you might sit up over the tripod between your butt bones and the back of the genitals. Maybe a hand on your belly and a hand on your heart. Eyes might close. And a few cleansing breaths here. One more inhale and one more exhale. And then when you're ready, let the eyes blink softly open. If hands are against the front torso, let them relax. Again, my name is Juliana. This is one of my free mini prenatal yoga videos intended to address some of the common pregnancy experiences and discomforts. I hope it's been of use to you, and I am sending you all my love. Thank you. Bye.